unexplored parts of the map at the end of the season. See, my issue with the under-21s and under-18s is that the quality difference between youth football and senior football, let alone Premier League football, is so great that you can't really expect players from the under-21s or under-18s to be able to come into the first team mid-season and be able to adapt to the point where they are reliable enough to provide cover for certain positions in the squad. For example, let's say Højlund and Xerxes get injured, or even Mainoo and Agate. Ideally, in theory, this would be the perfect opportunity to promote players who have been performing well in the under-21s or even the under-18s. Wheatley, Biancheri, Chido Obi-Martin in the case of the centre-forward position, or Dangor, Jack Moorhouse or Zach Baumann in central midfield. However, the issue is, under-21s football is maybe not even League 2 standard in terms of quality and physicality, and so yes, players may be ripping up the under-21s or under-18s, but because of the quality difference, you can't really have full confidence that this will translate to senior football, let alone Premier League football. And this is the main reason as to why I don't want to see young talented players staying in the under-21s for too long, as we've seen with the likes of Oyedele, Gore, Dylan Levitt, etc, because it just stagnates their development and they aren't acclimatised to the quality, pace or physicality of senior football. Players like this would be much better off playing a season or so in the under-18s or under-21s, and then when it becomes clear that they are too good for that level, then getting loaned out. However, loaning players out is risky because you don't have control over the system, manager or role that the players are being used in or under, and we've seen players like Oyedele just get completely wasted when they've gone out on loan. And so my proposal is that Manchester United find a way to have the under-21s play against clubs from outside of Europe. Now, before I elaborate on my point further, a quick reminder, I do have an in-game Instagram group chat where we do have discussions and analysis throughout the Manchester United games. I am going to be doing Q&As at the start and at the end of each week, so if you do want to sign up, I'll leave my Patreon linked in all the usual places. Now, I'm not sure we'd be able to pull the under-21s out of the under-21s league, so I would probably advocate for creating essentially what would be a Manchester United B team, with players under the age of 21 who during the season or maybe at the end of the season, rather than wasting their time playing against other under-21 Premier League sides, can instead go to places like America, Asia, Australia, etc, basically on tour, and play against big clubs from those countries, playing against LAFC from the MLS, Tokyo FC from the J-League or Sydney FC from the A-League is going to be a much greater test for United's young players than simply playing against other youth teams in England. Even playing against Real Madrid or Barcelona's youth teams more often would be something I'd like to see. I mean, with youth football you've got a lot more leniency in what you can do in terms of the schedule, particularly if United got together with the other big clubs around Europe and said, look, rather than us sending the first team on tour at the end of the season, why don't we just create essentially a B team league and take that on tour to different continents? First of all, from a commercial perspective, this would be incredibly beneficial, as you could organise what would be similar to like test series in cricket or tournaments in rugby that are a lot more competitive and interesting, maybe with B teams of Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and 6 or 7 of the other big European clubs, alongside big clubs from the MLS, J-League or A-League, whoever is available at that particular time. I think that would be a lot more interesting to watch than the games that the under-21s or under-18s currently play, and it would also serve a commercial purpose as well, and would mean that the first team can do less travelling throughout the summer months. I've always thought it would be interesting to have the big European clubs play against other clubs from outside of Europe in a competitive environment. However, it's not really feasible with the first team logistically, and the quality difference is too great to actually make it interesting. However, let's say during the end of May and June, when the football season is finished, Manchester United and any of the other big European clubs, if they opt in as well, can create a B team with players from the under-21s and under-18s, and could then go and play against teams from the MLS, for example. As I think that would be a great litmus test to be able to see how good and how ready our youth players are for Premier League football. You could be ripping up the under-21s, but if you struggle to make an impact against MLS sides, then at least we know this player probably isn't ready for the first team. Chido Obi-Martin is a great example of this. He's sensational for the under-18s, but we really don't know how good he is in senior football. We've seen with other players like Rio Griffiths at Tottenham or Ryan Brewster at Liverpool, who look absolutely sensational in youth football, but were unable to translate that to senior football at all. If Chido Obi-Martin looks as impressive as he does in youth football against the best American and Asian teams, then at least we know at this current point this is the bare minimum level he should be playing at, and from here we now have more information on each player's qualities in senior football that we can then use to either integrate them into the first team or when sending them out on loan. So let me know what you think of this idea. I think it would be interesting just to watch from a viewer standpoint, and if you want to sign up to my in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave it linked in all the usual places.